Well, a big day today. Today is the day that we ascertain for certain that the FBI rigged the 2020 election. And I'm going to bring you the new evidence to support this. This is in Twitter Files Part 7, written by Michael Shellenberger. And allow me to describe the series of events and help you guys make the decision for yourselves whether or not this was actual election interference, which I'm going to say without a doubt was. In December of 2019, they take possession via a subpoena Hunter Biden's laptop from the laptop store that Hunter gave it to. They held this computer for over a year. Do you not think that it is possible for them to ascertain whether or not this was a valid piece of evidence over the course of that time? Ding, 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 ding. I think that we all agree that the FBI has the forensic digital capabilities to do so, considering the fact that news organizations were able to do so, like CBS, 2 years later. I wonder whether or not that's a coincidence. We can all agree that the Hunter Biden laptop was, in fact, real, and the FBI knew that well ahead of time. And what they did, according to the files, is embed FBI agents at Twitter, including the person, Jim Baker, who made the case internally to go after Donald Trump for the Russiagate, to expand the scope of the Russiagate investigation that we all know to be bunk. Maybe this was precipitated by the fact that Donald did not have kind things to say about the intelligence community, and this was their way of getting back at them. As Chuck Schumer, the head of the Democrats in the Senate, stated, they've got 3 ways of Sunday to get back at you, and it's a foolish move by Donald. This turned out to be a very prescient statement by the senator. And today, we see the evidence of this taking place because what they did is they primed all of the social media companies over the course of the year that this is what a Russian disinformation campaign is going to look like, that they're expecting a dump before the election. They didn't know exactly where it was coming. So they primed them over and over and over again, make them feel important, make them feel, and some admission has to be given that these people might have been acting not only because it conformed to their political ideology, but because they had been primed by the FBI. So when you get told over and over again that this is what a Russian information dump is going to look like, and suddenly, months and months later, something that triggers each alarm that the FBI intentionally set comes about, you think that you're the one making the decision when in fact you've been basically hypnotized and primed in order to do so. And to give some credit to Yoel Roth, who I personally think that there is evidence that he is pedo adjacent, and I'm not a big fan of the guy. In fact, I despise the individual. Some credence has to be given to the fact that he's not completely at fault, that he was manipulated by the FBI. So when the Hunter Biden laptop, and they had Rudy Giuliani under surveillance, when the computer repair shop owner who had originally given the laptop to the FBI hears nothing back from them, he gives it to Rudy Giuliani, who I think I just mentioned was under surveillance. And they know that Rudy has it. Hey, hey, hey! And then they go and they tell Twitter and all the other social media companies, guess what's coming down the piper? And what do you think comes down? The Russian disinformation, the Hunter Biden laptop story, which they extinguish, which they say is misleading, this false, is Russian disinformation. And all of those liars go on television, the 51 former intelligence agents, and say it has all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation, when in fact they absolutely categorically knew, because again, they had a year to determine whether or not the laptop was in fact real. And I guarantee you that they know that they did. So this was direct interference in the election for the Democratic candidate and to remove Trump from office. And you want to talk about the real insurrection that plays with our republic and the voting patterns that have been developed. And this is the FBI putting their hand on the scale and pulling it in one direction because of their hatred for Donald Trump. And today you see the FBI acting like a wounded animal, having to side and being politically charged with the Democrats because these are the people that are going to keep them afloat, they believe, along with the whole uniparty, which is why they become so political and why they are investigating Trump and why they are calling people that stand against CRT in school domestic terrorists and why they send 15 people to investigate a rope pool with Bubba Wallace reporting it in his garage. And they found out after all this investigation that it had been there for months and it was just used to pull down the garage door. But this is why the FBI is becoming so politicized. You do an act like this, and in order to stay alive, you have to continue to side with those who will prop up your power, because these governmental institutions do not want to disappear. They are a wounded animal gasping for air and siding with anybody that will give them support. Okay, that's a little hyperbolic. They're still entrenched in our republic. And I say republic because we are not a direct democracy, thank God, because otherwise we could vote in slaves again if 51% of the people would agree with such a horrific notion. That is why we don't have direct democracy. But we can see that a government institution that we trusted clearly interfered with the 2020 election. And so, yes, the FBI had a heavy hand in rigging it. And how can you say that that's not the case after you view the evidence? So let's call a spade and just declare it directly how corrupt the FBI is, that they absolutely knew that the Hunter Biden laptop was a valid document. And rather than dispel the myth that the Democrats wanted, that it was Russian disinformation, they absolutely knew and did nothing. They sat on the sidelines and supported them with all of the agents that they had in the FBI, with the former intel officers going on national TV and declaring it Russian disinformation. So yeah, Donald Trump was robbed. There's the proof. Peace.